Hello, 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 all of my beautiful souls out there, and welcome back to the Sex, Drugs, and Jesus podcast. I am your host, Devanin. And honey, I come to you bringing you light and joy and happiness and fulfillment. Let's get fulfilled today. Let's get powerful. Let's get courageous. Let's get encouraged. Let's go forth in our full, authentic selves, being bold like lions and humble as sheep. It's a good balance right there. The website is sexdrugsandjesus.com. My other website is Down Under Apparel. Please check out Sex, Drugs, and Jesus podcast on YouTube. Today I'm talking to you all about clarity versus chaos. You know what? There's two sides to each and every coin, y'all. And I'm trying to bring y'all into a greater mental realm of perspective. Because time does start thinking about shit differently. There's two sides to every coin. Something can be done in a good way or in a bad way. Meaning like your intention and the spirit of it all. Is it going to bring you joy? Is it going to bring you pain? You're in a bad relationship. Can you imagine yourself in a good relationship? If you're doing anything at all to bring you discomfort, what is the version of that? The counter to that? What's the version of that that would actually not bring you discomfort? Because see, sometimes we get stuck we get accustomed to discomfort thinking that's the only reality we can live in, and that's bullshit. You can be free. Then you can have peace. What did the Lord say? I came that you might have joy and have it more abundantly. You should be being happy and peaceful and fulfilled without fear or agitation in any part of your life. And so I'm going to try to preach clarity to y'all and bring you some perspective. As they say in John Wick, y'all know I fucking love me some damn John Wick. God damn it, that shit is fucking awesome. They would say in their perspective is everything. Perspective is everything. Glass half full, glass half empty. Perspective, perspective, perspective. It's almost not about really what the fuck is going on, but how you're looking at it. That's what changes and shapes your whole fucking reality. Your whole fucking universe is sorted out not by really what is happening, but how you choose to view what is happening. As I've said in other shows, you get rejected. Is it really bad, or was that an open door? Okay. It's all in how you look at shit. You get accepted in certain places. Was that good? Or have you been gathered amongst a group of enemies and you don't know? Sometimes no is the best word that you can hear. And sometimes yes could lead you to the end of your life. You just don't know. Heaven's perspective, though, is the only point of view that really matters. There's how we look at shit. And then we got to go, okay, God, what do you say about this? You'll have to take the time to invite God into anything that you do to be sure that it's being done right and to be sure you're going to come out right on the other end. Take the Lord along with you everywhere you go. As they used to sing in the church growing up, y'all, take the Lord along with you everywhere you go. And if you're doing something that you don't feel like you can invite God into, then your ass shouldn't be doing it, period. There is, and a lot of this has to do with like vibrational energies and things like that. You'll hear us talk about all the time, like low vibration, high vibration. There is a way you can actually like hook a machine up to people and measure like frequencies, in different like hertz and ranges and things like that to determine what is low vibrational and high vibrational. And you can actually physically measure the things that people say and do and the way they feel and emotions and determine whether or not it's really like low vibrational or high vibrational. It's not just jargon or just talk. When we say low vibrational, high vibrational, the lower the vibration of something is, it's hurting you, it's draining you, it's putting sickness into you. The higher the vibration is healing you, it's enlightening you, it's helping you to go higher and to go forward in life and to be productive and to be positive. It's not just talk. Low vibration, high vibration is actually measurable within people. And there are certain practitioners in this world who are capable of doing such things. If you get some time, you look that shit up because it's really fucking real. So we're talking about everything from religious trauma, which is what I'm about to start with, forgiveness and unforgiveness, my view of true masculinity versus chaos masculinity, and a couple of other things throughout the show to try to give you some motherfucking perspective, because perspective my dear, it's everything. So let's just launch right into this with religious trauma. Letting go of it is what we call clarity. Hanging on to it is what I call chaos. For those of you who don't know, you might be new to the show. I'm going to be refreshing you on some things throughout. Thank God we have well over 100 episodes at this point, and everything's growing and prospering and flourishing. Despite all that I've been through, I still have joy, as we still say, for those of us who call upon the name of the Lord. Um, when I lived in Houston, Texas, I served at Joel Osteen ministry, the Lakewood Church, a couple of years, many hours a week, very dedicated. I got kicked out for not being straight after I applied there for a job. I was given an ultimatum to take their, what the fuck, conversion therapy shit, and to become straight and get back in their good graces. I did not do that. I'll just put it to you that way. That was a day in my fucking life, I'll tell you that. But then that caused me to be very broken and hurt and confused. After that, I started doing drugs, and I got HIV and hepatitis, became a drug dealer, all of this, got homeless, et cetera, et cetera. Beat goes on. I cover all this in my memoirs, which is on my website. I ain't faulting them for anything that I've done. I take full responsibility for everything myself. I'm just letting you know that, if anybody's got a reason to be pissed off at a church forever, that would be me. Too many times I see people, and yeah, this is at Lakewood Church, the largest church in the country, the smiling preacher, Joel Osteen. Them people are not like that behind closed doors. That church has a Baptist background. On the front, Lakewood Church is all non-denominational and come as you are and everyone's welcome bullshit. Behind closed doors, once them cameras turn off, they Baptist as fuck. They're very anti-LGBTQ. They're very anti every fucking thing. They're not like that. But of course, if you need fucking millions to keep your doors open, you're going to say what the fuck people want to hear. That's why Joel and Victoria, his wife, went from being on Larry King talking about some homosexuality is wrong, rah, 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 to I think they were on like Fox fucking News after the pandemic when they started doing those arena tours, talking about we'll go to our friends' weddings if they're gay and getting married, but we won't conduct the ceremony. Wow, what a change of tune from fuck it all to, well, sometimes. You see what they did there? They're changing their tune depending on the temperament of the world. Because they asked to start to lose money and donations started to go down and shit like that. They fake as hell. I used to respect Victoria, but now I don't fuck with her either because she done sold her soul. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I mean, she could be in there pulling a Deborah Burks, like what Deborah Burks did with Trump, trying to be sure the shit didn't go completely off the rails, but I don't know. I don't fuck, no, bitch. Either be about the truth, whatever it costs, or nothing. Like the Lord said, buy the truth and sell it not. You've got to stick to the truth. There is no other version of this where it works out. You have to tell the truth, period. Period. It's the only way. And so, I mean, that shit hurt. It really, really threw me the fuck off. And I lost my spiritual identity because why? I had my image of God and my image of the pastor or Joe Osteen, whoever conflated. Those two things are not supposed to be put together. I stopped talking to God and there was silence in between me and heaven for the space of about 5 fucking years. So, bitch, check your motives. It's even if you're in that Catholic cult, which is we're pretty much all organized religion is at least a little culty. Y'all know I'm not a proponent of church. I don't give a fuck about organized religion. They all got some good shit to say, but should none of them be coming in between you and Jesus. You don't need a fucking human. You don't. You just don't. Okay. So if some bullshit happens and you're one of your friends or loved ones or you go through some shit, why the fuck you mad at God about that? Okay, so like I left the church because of Joel and his fucking lackey's stupidity. I should have just kept on walking with the Lord, but I didn't do that. I got emotional. I let my hurt fucking feelings come in between me and the Lord, and it took 5 years. And I was in rehab in Shreveport, Louisiana, with damn near every fucking addiction in the world. Before I went back to church. eventually I become to realize, that I don't really need church to get close to God. As I say, the further I get away from church, the closer I get to God. So check your motives, bitch. What the fuck are you really going to church for? If you've left the church, you got hurt, some loved ones, I know a lot of straight people who have queer friends who got hurt by the church who don't fuck with church. Okay, fine. But why you pissed off with God? You can't stay angry with the Lord over something a human did. Were you really going to church for God in the first place? Or were you, like me, subconsciously not aware that you had begun to worship the pastor and the building and the ceremony and the ritual, and you didn't realize that at some point that shit slipped in on me and I had turned to God out of the things that I was doing? Otherwise, when the humans started fucking up, why the fuck was I mad with God? Now it doesn't matter what some crazy ass preacher does. My relationship with God is rock fucking solid. It shall never be shaken again by anything, period. So those of you who were bitter as hell, so you stopped going to church, you've got to pick up your spiritual discipline at home. You can't just let it go. You can't throw out the baby with the bathwater, as they say. So don't go to church. Cool. But you can't just become spiritually vague and be devoid of spiritual understanding because they hurt you in the church. And some of y'all, this shit wasn't like last year or last week. It's decades old. And y'all still whining about what they did in the church. Girl, bye. You got to shake that shit off. Religious trauma is fucking serious and it's fucking real, but like all fucking pain, it must fucking pass. What they say in the book of Isaiah, and this too shall pass. There is nothing that was a problem that you're supposed to hang on to, especially if it's not an active source of stress. When whoever first hurt you, that shit's on them. If you still hanging on to that shit after extended amount of time, that shit's on you, and you just look like a petty, bitter, broken bitch at this point. At some point, you've got to heal and move the fuck on. You've got to let it go, baby. And forgive them people and get yourself sorted out with your creator, because you're not going to be on this earth forever. And don't be a fool and think you have until you get old, because tomorrow is not promised. People die young. People die middle aged more than they do in old age. Be very, 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 very careful, because it's not old people out there in them streets putting themselves in harm's way. It's reckless ass young people who think they're invincible. And that's why they get their asses gobbled up by life. Get all kinds of unseen and unforeseen treacheries. Yeah, unforeseen treacheries. A lot of them ignore warnings that they've been given, and go out there and just get fucked off. Man, caught up in all kinds of thorns and briars and painful shit. Yeah, at some point, you've got to become spiritually strong. So, what is our clarity here? Even though we've been hurt by the church, or we've seen people we love get hurt by the church, do not let that come between you and God. The chaos version of this is when you hold on to pain and you don't let that shit go and you have a fucked up spiritual life, if any at all. The clear version of this is when you're able to learn, turn to that experience, learn from it with gratitude, and say, I'm thankful for what happened. It's unfortunate it went this way, but it was what it was. What they did is a reflection of them. It is not a reflection of me. I am now going to go and help other people who are experiencing this sort of trauma to get out of it too. There is something hella powerful, very fucking powerful, about when you give a fuck enough to help somebody else go through the shit you've been through. Baby, that's healing in and of itself in a way that I cannot explain. You just have to fucking do it. If you've been through anything, bitch, go help somebody else going through the same shit and watch what doors God will open for you. Selflessness and thinking about other people is what it's all about. If you're not living that type of life, then you're not really fucking living. Enough of the churchy stuff. Let me see what we got here. I'm going to lean into this forgiveness and unforgiveness when it comes to relationships. Relationships. Television, movies, music, and everything, God bless them, I think have really subliminally mind-fuck the world into thinking that the pinnacle of living is having boyfriends, girlfriends, polyamorous relationships, and sex. Or getting married, having 2.5 kids and a white picket fence. It's like so much of the life dream of what one should aspire to revolves around a romantic interpersonal relationship. You haven't seen somebody in a while, people will say some shit like, oh, who are you dating now? They don't ask you, oh, how's your spiritual growth? Have you gotten any closer to God? Have you studied any of the other world religions on your path to figure out what you believe? Those are the kind of questions I be asking people. People looking at me like I'm fucking thrown off. Girl, I don't give a damn who you've been dating. That's irrelevant. I want to know if you've grown spiritually since the last time I met you. And that's what the fuck I want to know, because that's going to determine whether or not you're going to fucking still be in my life. Because I'm interested. I am not interested. He's so fucking down. I'm so excited. Woo! Yes. I fucking love what I do. I love my life and everything. And then I love hosting this podcast. Well, let me Mm, thank you, Jesus. But that's what's gonna determine whether or not a bitch is gonna stay in my life. If people not growing spiritually, they getting the fuck out. They don't have time for no stagnant ass energy. Because what stagnant waters just sit there and get all musky and funky and shit. And you got to be flowing, bitch. You got to be in a constant flow. Or you just gonna be a stale ass old puddle. Not having it. But people be putting pressure on people like that. You ever met a bitch, seen a bitch in a while, especially in the South, that they be like, they want to assess your weight. They'll look at you like, you done picked up a few pounds, and shit like that. Or if you done lost, in their opinion, too much weight, they'll say some whack ass shit like, you see you dropping off. Fuck you, bitch. Nobody asked you for an analysis of my physicality. Okay. And, or then they want to dive right in, putting pressure on people to date and marry. Fuck all that. Sex, marriage, relationships, dating is a part to play in this life. It is not to be put on this huge ass pedestal. Because how many people have relationships, have a lot of sex, are married, and are still fucking miserable? Did you go and get all those things because you were really ready and you'd healed your childhood wounds and you were really ready? Or did you do it because it's what you thought you should do? Did you do it because you saw everybody else doing that? Is it because your internal dialogue is telling you if you just get a man or two or three or a woman or whatever, however you identify or want, then that's what's going to make you happy? No, if you're miserable single, whatever the fuck you do, you're just going to be miserable doing it. Whether that's dating somebody, sleeping with people, going over here, going over there, until you sort out who you are and why you are and get about the business of sorting yourself out spiritually and your reason for walking this plane of existence. No amount of sex, dating, relationships, or experiences you have are going to fulfill you, because you were not put on this earth to fulfill your desires more than to fulfill your purpose. And that is why a lot of y'all are not getting ahead in life. It is what it is. I said what I said, and I hope you can accept it, until it is being offered in love. I'm about tough love. Enough people pat y'all on the head and give y'all soft answers, and that has gotten you nowhere. You need somebody who'll give it to you straight, period. Okay? But forgiveness and unforgiveness can come in any form, anybody who pisses you off. But relationships carry a deeper, how shall I say, it just cuts deeper. When you're really in love with somebody or trying to be close to somebody because you've been very vulnerable with this person for an extended period of time. So the rage becomes more intense. Like they say, it's a thin line between love and hate. Thin line between love and hate. It's true, though. It's true. But children, we got to forgive people, not for them, but for you. So I gave the Lakewood church analysis. And then, y'all, I'm revisiting a couple of things in this episode. It's not because I'm not over it. It's just because I'm trying to demonstrate to you how you come through things. You should not forget what the hell happened, because you don't want to go back and fall into that same trap and situation again. So you don't want to forget it, but you do have to forgive the entities, the people, the spaces, the places, whatever. You can hold space for forgiveness, yet remembering, not ruminating on and thinking about it all the time and letting it in your energy or consume your energy, but not forgetting who that person really is or what those people did, because you would not want to go back into that same situation. You want to remember the lessons learned, but you got to also cut ties with that energy and just shake that shit off and let them people go. So I'm not still mad at Lakewood. I wouldn't fucking step foot in the church again, or any church for that matter. Not likely. But I also don't carry rage. I can listen at Lakewood Church's music. It took me a long time to be able to do it, because I understand it's not about Cindy Cruz Radcliffe. It's not about Israel Houghton, but I think they got rid of him too for some bullshit with a cheetah girl or whatever. You can look that up. I wasn't there when it happened. But it's not about them. God sent that music through them. So I'm hearing their voice, but only heaven can send healing. The healing is not in them. The healing is not in me. It's in the Lord Jesus. It's not, it is in the Lord Jesus. It is in the Lord Jesus. It is not in Lakewood Church. It is not in Joel Osteen. It is not in your preacher. It is God working through them at best. But it took a long time for me to be able to listen and separate and divide, as they say, the man from the message. Period. So in these relationships, we got to do the same thing, baby. We got to forgive them people and let them go. So I'm going to talk about this right now, this most recent relationship, which was the longest relationship that I've ever had. So therefore I have the most experience. I'm over the shit. My healing is just about pretty much complete now. We're going about like 7, 8 months, since I, ended all that physically. He had left me mentally and emotionally and energetically, well, shit, and physically, because he had his boyfriends and sexual buddies on the side long before I ever ended the relationship. I just have to believe that, because a dishonest person who don't have boundaries will do anything. So I'm pretty sure that he had that. But but physically, as far as my understanding of it being over was around January, February. So here we are in August. I've done the work. I've been in isolation. I didn't go get me a boyfriend. I wasn't about, sleeping around and things like that. I pulled my energy into me and went before the Lord and got my healing. And I did my ayahuasca and hung out with the shamans and did my hypnotherapy and rearranged shit on the inside and changed shit at the, I did what I needed to do to clear energy out and clear energy. I did not go and attach myself to people and bring energy in. This has been an out clearing, cleaning out, a flushing away, and so I'm good. I'm in a very, very good space. No, I didn't think I would fucking smile again. I couldn't fucking breathe. I was in so much fucking pain over this relationship, and I am not whining. Y'all know I don't play the victim. It's not good for your skin. It's not good for your future. It's not good for your present. None of that fucking works. I'm thankful for the lessons learned, and with gratitude, I go back and I'm trying to explain to you what happens so you can understand. And it's also a refresher for those of you who are new to the show. I under you know, it's kind of like a recap in a way. I'm not going back over this to stew in old energy. I'm not doing that. But we have to look to the past to learn from it with gratitude, not being triggered by it. Yes, those of you who have been in terrible relationships, the day will come where you can look at it and just be totally fucking chill about what happened. Because you understand that whatever they did is a reflection of them. It has nothing to do with you. So why be bothered? What they've done since then is a reflection of them, and they will reap the results of that. Why be bothered? This ain't your damn business. You have your own path to be on. They have theirs. Period. It takes time. I have learned, just because you physically leave somebody, it takes time to energetically untangle yourself from a motherfucker. This is why I'm very, very careful about who the fuck I let get close to me now, because it was hard to end the shit, and then it was hard to sever his fucking energy from me, after the fact. But this is, I'd never been in a relationship that long, so I've learned, and so I share this with you. Again, if I didn't have this show or a public platform, I would not be talking about this. I like to make that clear, just so y'all know I'm not about stewing on the past, stewing on old shit. I'm about forgiveness, getting the fucking soul work done, learning the lessons, helping somebody else come out of the same situation, and getting the fuck on down the road. 'Cause we got places to be and things to do. Okay? Hallelujah. And so, and also, you know, I was with a covert narcissist, sociopath. He's definitely a psychopath, definitely on the Machiavellian scale. Could be autistic too. The boy has problems. But and a lot of you have been in relationships with these people. I used to go into the narcissistic recovery support group rooms and the sex addicts rooms and the codependent recovery room and the people who've been abused by sex addicts rooms. Bitch, I was in all the rooms. Like, I was in so much fucking pain. I was like, Lord Jesus, I need this agony and hurt to end. God, Jesus, why do I have a heart? Why do I have a heart if it's got to feel like this? It's like somebody just put a fucking dagger Like just like I don't know, like fucking evil as Loki or some shit just came up just from the front and just put his dagger in my fucking heart and left it there and ran off back to Asgard somewhere, and I just couldn't get the fucking damn thing out of my chest. So fucking A. But the day will come where you don't feel that pain anymore. Narcissists have this way of they have this thing called narcissistic amnesia or narcissistic navel gazing. Is where they have a funny way of forgetting the shit that they did wrong and the shit that you did right. And the way that they fix it in their head, they always come out clean, and they didn't really do anything. They might forget, but God don't forget. And the Lord gives these people space to repent. And the Lord said, if you confess your sins, that he is faithful and just to forgive. But if you cover your sins, honey, I'm going to tell you lack understanding. Proverbs 28 in chapter 13 said it like this: he that covereth his sins shall not prosper. Those who confesseth and forsaketh them shall have mercy. So you got to say what you did wrong, make it right with the people you fucked over, all of it, and then stop doing what you're doing. But you got to do a full confession, tell everything or nothing at all. Because, like I say all the time, a 99.999% truth is still a fucking lie. So don't even bother if that's all you gonna say. So, you got to get the whole thing right. We have to forgive these people no matter what they've done. So I'm going to go through what a portion of what happens, so you can understand that if anybody has a reason to be bitter and angry and stay mad at a motherfucker about some shit that they did, it's me. But I'm not going to be bitter and angry and stay mad. I've said my prayers about this. I brought it before the Lord. I believe in karma and cosmic justice and spiritual justice. And look, the angels are real. Everything we all do is recorded, and they will repay to you what you have done. And we can't sit around worrying about that, y'all. But I used to, when I used to be in those narcissistic recovery rooms, there would be just these poor women in there. I mean, poor women. Look, I spent 4.5 years with that dude, but these people, 10, 20, 30 years, and oof, they come to find out he out there doing what? After all that damn time, they got children and everything. And these men, and some women too, have gone out there and done the most. People are capable of unspeakable evil. People are something, as my evangelist Nelson would always say, people are something. So who am I to complain? But they would be in those fucking rooms still angry. And then I would be like, girl, you got to forgive. They'd be like, no, no. What he did to me was just too bad. I can never forgive him. I could never let it go. I'd be like, girl, as a massage therapist, I'm telling you that pent up anger and rage can turn into cancer. It can turn into high blood pressure, all kinds of diseases and tumors and ulcers and shit. People used to come into the clinics with this shit. I'm telling y'all, you can't hold on to that fucking rage and anger. You have got to forgive these people. And I hope that if I go back and tell you through this new clear vision that I have, now that all three of my eyes are fully open, that I can help you see how you can go through something with a terrible person who does terrible things to you and come out of it better, happier, with more joy, with bigger smile, and forgive them and move on. I really, really pray and hope that my people, especially my fellow queens who have been hurt by these broken little fractured boys, can get healing from this, because I'm tired of seeing my women be bound by this. Them men, shit, they certainly don't deserve that title. Them little boys have gone on with their lives, doing whatever with whomever. Girl, you've got to move on. Please, please, please. And don't get addicted to those recovery rooms too, because it's like then you're sitting there just hearing about other people's trauma and shit. When you need it, great. As soon as you don't need it, get the fuck away from that shit. Some of those people had been in those rooms for years. I'm like, girl, after a while, it seems like it begins to be counterproductive and it just kind of keeps you stuck in that space. That's what it is, y'all. So let me see. Like I said, we forgive, we never forget, especially when it comes to these relationships. You don't want to go back into the same pattern or find the same person and do the same shit. it really, really hurts my heart when I meet a female and she's dating like her fifth narcissist and she knows what narcissistic personality disorder is. I've done shows about this. I always recommend Dr. Ramani's channel over on YouTube. For the narcissists out there, just one, Lee Hammock's channel. And I think he probably has a YouTube channel, but definitely on Instagram. You you could have looked this up yourself, but you actually gave a damn about actually stopping being what you are, but I suppose you could be listening to this podcast thinking that too. So I'll go on ahead and just give you this. Lee Hammock is a very, in my opinion, bold man who is not afraid to own up to his shit. He is a self-identified and I think diagnosed narcissist. He calls himself an aware narcissist. The prevailing mindset there is that narcissistic personality disorder, they don't feel like maybe it's something that can be healed. Y'all know I don't believe that. I don't think there's no problem anybody has that God can't solve. But some things are tougher to certainly get rid of, but that's for damn sure. And so he's a self-aware narcissist and he advocates to make people aware of it. He's a male narcissist who will confess the shit he used to do, and he's come to terms with it. I love the fact that Lee Hammock was able to turn and face his shadow, learn from it, own up to what the fuck he's done, and now he's trying to help other people. That's what it's all about. Even a damn narcissist, as tragic as they are, and they are tragic, can turn their shit around. It's like Dave Cause's song I often quote says, "As long as you are breathing, you can start all over again." You can start all over again. You can start all over again. But the thing is, you got to start all over again. You got to leave those old habits and shit behind. You can't take that into your future. You can't take the past into the future. No matter how that's called letting loose of attachments. You gotta let attachments go. This is really the thing that you think brings you pleasure doesn't really bring you pleasure. It's like you gotten comfortable with it. Whatever it might be, fill the blank with whatever applies to you. The thing is, it really is joyful as you think, and you've trained it into your mind. And so that's my tip for narcissists. Lee Hammock, even y'all can change if you want to. But the main part of my ministry and message are to my fellow divine feminine people out there who have been damaged by people, by these little boys, and that's because that's the angle I'm coming from. I don't know what it's like to be the abuser. I don't know what it's like to be the one with a double life. I don't know that. So I know my angle, which is the one who didn't do that. So that's how I'm gonna go with is let's see, how shall I start with this? Hmm. I mean, let's just get into like the worst of it. So what began to set the whole breakup into motion was when mm, was when it was no, Imma start like this. Before I was getting ready to turn 40 and I was getting ready to go to the Middle East, I had the ex, we'll just call him the ex because it really doesn't matter the person because this same sort of shit is mimicked in different parts across the world. People get thoughts in their head and energy gets swirled up in them and then it results in action. So really everything is energy and spirit. Who did what don't really fucking matter. It was the energy and the spirit in which they did it and the intentions that they have. And so that what happened to me can happen to you, can happen to anyone. So it really doesn't fucking matter who. And so we'll just call him the ex bitch. That's all that fucking matters. And I love that word ex 'cause that implies no more. And so, he got COVID. None of his coworkers had COVID, according to him. He had, according to him, he hadn't been anywhere except for hanging out with me and this trip that we had just been on to Portland, Oregon, so that I can do some psychedelic therapy with a social worker up there. And other than that, I was like, where the fuck could he have gotten COVID from? In my head, I'm thinking, okay, it had to be some person I don't know. And I asked him, and he said, no. That's what narcissists do. They lie easily. It would be months later that I would find out, that he actually had been had this secret little boyfriend on the side or somebody he was sleeping with, okay, then it clicked. It made sense. I'm like, he got COVID from having a secret relationship with somebody he wasn't telling me about, without regard for the fact that I was headed to the Middle East soon and I could have gotten stranded. I mean, actually, the trip could have just been canceled had I contracted COVID. You see what I'm saying? This should not have surprised me though, because the first time that I broke up with him about 2 years into the relationship, this was in the height of the pandemic when we didn't have medicine. We had just, I think, gotten the COVID test. And I broke up with him for 3 weeks and I did the thing that my empathetic people, y'all, we often do it. We break up and then we go back and then the shit's worse than what it was before. It happens. It happens. If you've done that, forgive yourself for going back, even though you knew you shouldn't have. Leave now and don't go back. That's all you can do. Take your lessons with you, forgive them, and when they have gratitude about what happened. That's all you can do. It was 3 weeks I was apart from him. I didn't see anyone. I didn't go get any people to sleep with and no boyfriends or none of that. I just stuck to God, stuck to myself and thought about shit. I thought maybe I can get back with him and everything. I went over to his house, the house that I encouraged him to get, even though he didn't believe a house was possible. And I put him in contact with my friends, put him in contact with realtors, and we made things happen. And he got that house. And what he decided to do in the 3 weeks that we were apart was go sleep around and rack up these friends with benefits or whatever the fuck he wanted to call them. And he had at least what 5 or 6 different people he was boning. It racked up quickly in 3 weeks. I'm gonna tell you, you might think it's a blessing that you can that a person can go onto an app and line up people to sleep with real quick, but that shit's a curse. Like I was saying earlier, sometimes the best thing you can be told is no. Having a slender body and good enough looks and willingness to display your body and send pictures of your body is degrading in the first damn place. And sure it would be if people had a conscience and a sense of morality, but that should have told me right then that our priorities were disaligned or unaligned. I like the word disaligned, fuck it. When given the chance, a lot of free time, I chose self-improvement. He chose to lean into his vices more. Like a fool, I tried to explain to him the folly of having sex in the middle of a pandemic with people off of apps, and none of them got tested. None of them got tested, and then none of them were telling the people that they were then hanging around like me. I went over there for his housewarming party. He didn't tell me he had been hoeing it up. I discovered this by one of the tokens of a long weekend or an overnight tryst he had had with somebody, laying around his house, which came in the form, you know, of a bottle of wine that I knew the ex would never have bought because he's not classy like that to buy wine. That's some shit I would have done. Until the moment I saw that, I was like, oh, he been hanging out with some dude. And then that got into this whole thing. And I was like, you should have told me that you've been sleeping around. I think he had just boned somebody completely different, like the day before. And didn't tell me. I'm like, I'm in here, I was in there in his house breathing in air and everything. We both have HIV. I have a history of hepatitis B as stated. I thank God that my health is so strong. The Department of Veterans Affairs be on their business. Okay. My fucking charts be looking good. I think I got better fucking immune system than people who've never had infectious diseases, bitch. They keep me fucking right with all the different things that they do at the VA. But still, I don't take my strong health for granted. And when God is clearly telling the world to set on their asses, like through COVID, him and his hoes went out there and did the most as though there was no pandemic. And I would have liked the courtesy of being told to be made aware so that I could have decided that for myself. Him and his hoes are not the only people who did this. Like I said, this happened all over the world. I'm just letting you know what my experiences was so that you can know just how much I had the capacity to forgive. And my hope, my queens, is that you forgive too. The chaos version of this is if we hold on to the bitterness and let it consume us. The clarity version of it is when we learn the lessons from it, look at the past with gratitude, use those lessons to strengthen ourselves and others. That is the difference. Chaos will not do, and we must banish it from every area of our life. And I'm going to lean into this relationship section for a while because this is such a huge portion of society. The relationships are, so is the bitterness people carry after they're over. And these things, my children must not be so. We cannot be consumed with unforgiveness. It will not do. It's not going to serve you. So I would have liked to have been told, yeah, we were broken up and he was, able to go and sleep with who he wanted to, but that don't mean that it should have been done in the middle of a pandemic. That's when people are not community minded and they don't care. We were in that pandemic for a long time. A lot of it, in my opinion, is because people were still sleeping around as though we weren't dealing with an airborne virus. And I very foolishly fed into that to the low energy of him and his sexual counterparts. Because anybody who will do something like that is very low vibrational. That is some low vibrational bullshit right there. And I asked him to ask one of his hoes, what they thought about the potential consequences of spreading airborne diseases to people through their sex, through their sex, and then after their sex. Because if you go on those apps to find people to sleep with, and whoever you're finding to sleep with is sleeping with everybody else on those apps. It's just this whole pool that they're in, in any given city, pretty much everybody's sleeping with everybody in the same damn city, in the same ring. And then that's when you get to all these reputations starting. If you're on an app meeting people and having sex or have been, bitch, you have a reputation and you being talked about. That's just a standard because people on those apps don't know how to keep their mouth shut. Okay. You definitely being talked about. And back in the days when I cared and I was on those apps, I used to could go into a club. I don't know if this was just me or they do this for anybody or what, but I would go in there and I might see somebody, and I don't know if the dude was on an app or not, but just to give an illustration of how shit just ain't sacred, I would be like, tell me about him. And the person would just tell me everything they like sexually, but they did this. Ain't shit sacred. You put your business out there, and in my opinion, it jives with the energy. Because if you're gonna be that loose, then your information should just be cut loose. You don't have boundaries, and you're not trying to keep it sacred. You're letting it go out there, so the energy you're operating in means that your information and business, you know, should be cut loose because you're loose. So just like that, I could point at anybody and get their whole fucking history, and they don't even know. Now, I'm not an evil bitch, so I'm not gonna do anything with it, but there are those who will. And I asked him to ask one of his hoes about the potential, death and sickness spreading implications, and his hoe got triggered and got mad that, and rah, 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 rah. All that I did was point out something that basic bitch already knew, was that he should not have been tricking in the middle of a pandemic, at least not without telling people before you're gonna go around them, especially without a mask on. You don't even have to tell the details, just be like, "You might not wanna come around me. I may have been exposed. I've been doing some things, or I was somewhere where I don't know if people were positive." Warn people, let them know, you know? So I was yet again the unpopular voice saying, maybe y'all shouldn't be doing this. None of them were trying to have none of this wisdom over here. They were just so damn lonely and so degraded within themselves. They were willing to sacrifice potential death over a killing disease like COVID just so they couldn't lay in their beds by themselves for an extended period of time. Isn't that just pitiful? And I doubt he ever stopped seeing these people once we got back together. I have no reason to think that he would have, because people who don't have boundaries, I have learned this and I'm warning my queens through this example. When you take a narcissist back, they just laugh at you under their breath and to themselves because they're thinking, ha 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 ha. This bitch let me disrespect her and fuck her over like this and she took me back. What a fool. They don't think like us. We would think, "Oh my god, I've been given a second chance. Thank you, Jeebus. I'm not gonna fuck this up." A narcissist, since they have not developed beyond the emotional capacity and spectrum of a 2-year-old, is just going to laugh at you. They're not gonna respect you. They're gonna view you as weak and step on you and do worse things. Okay? I'm just gonna leave that there for you to digest. They don't have boundaries and they do not care about the collective good. Okay, they only care about themselves and they're very short-sighted individuals. Like I said, I should have realized that I had outgrown him at the time. If you ever have to explain morality and boundaries to someone like I tried to explain to him and threw him to his hose. Good on me for having a big enough heart to try, and good on you, my empathetic queens, for trying. But understand that a person without morality and boundaries don't fucking want to have moralities and boundaries. And there is nothing that you can ever do that's going to make them get morality and boundaries. If you meet somebody, however you meet them is how they are. That's just all that there is to it. Continuing on with the COVID, one of the nights that he was out with his other boyfriends or his sexual partners or whatever title he might decide to put to them. I use boyfriend and lover loosely. People can meet somebody. As I stated in a different episode, people will have marriages that go span for decades and they never even liked the person, not love them, never even liked them, not was in love and fell out of love and never liked them. Titles are not something that are just come automatic. I can fucking grab okay, this box of mother shit. I don't know if y'all can see, but I can grab this motherfucking box of fucking bleach wedge and just be like, this is gonna be a boyfriend. And just be like, okay, I've given you the title of boyfriend. That don't make him a fucking boyfriend. Sometimes people just be playing house. They'll just go find somebody to fill their lonely void for an extended period of time, months, years, bitch, with a title that's not really real. Okay, that don't mean anything. It doesn't. Have you ever had a job and you had a worker who was really pulling the load and really leading people who wasn't the manager or the supervisor, but everybody knew all the authority really rested with him and the buck really stopped with them? Didn't matter who the fuck had the title. It's about who actually embodied the characteristics of that position. That's who the real motherfucker is. Fuck who the title is on. You know, so y'all can call anybody a damn boyfriend. That don't mean that they are. I think people just self-deceive themselves into thinking that they have something that they really know they don't. So I'm not really sure what the hell to call these people, but just know that they were illegitimate, illicit relationships that should not have happened. Not because I cared that they would have happened, but he should have told me that they happened. And But one of the nights he cheated when he was COVID positive. Now, the first time that him and his hoes weren't getting tested, back then he did actually pop positive for COVID, a couple of weeks later. So he did get COVID in the midst of all this. He was negative a few days later, and his narcissistic mind tried to tell him it's a false positive. What happened was since he hadn't bothered to be tested by the time I brought up that I required this test, he was on the end of the disease, and so that's why he tested negative, but his ass definitely got COVID from hoeing around when it serves him right. And then years later, his hoish ass got COVID again from running around with dudes behind my back, and the fool still didn't learn. And this time, as I was getting ready to go to the Middle East, I went and got Paxlovid from the Department of Veterans Affairs, told them it was for me because I wanted to take it with me to the Middle East in case I would test positive once I got over there because I would have been fucking stranded over there. But since the ex was COVID positive and I didn't want him to die, since we both have HIV, and I was like, I put him first as I always did, and I gave him my Paxlovid along with a little bundt cake from Nothing Bundt Cakes because I wanted to be cute. Delivered it to him, and a couple hours later, he was out the door and drove 30 minutes to go sleep with the dude for an hour and came back and told me nothing. I discovered this. When I discovered it, I noticed that it was like 43 text messages he had sent to this dude in 30 minutes, not counting the dude's responses, 43 text messages. I made the ex repeat this And he couldn't do it. It took him hours. I made him go into a different room in my house and send me 43 kinky ass text messages in 30 minutes. It took him a long time to actually do it. I don't know what kind of demonic possession happens with sex addicts when they get into that lusty state of mind that makes them hyper energetic to be able to do something like that. But I really feel sorry for them. That's that's the Bible says that people can use sex. If you ever really want to know about God thinks about sex, read the book of Proverbs. It's all about how people are foolish with sex and how it kills them. The book of Proverbs, really a lot of it, probably 50% of that book is about sex. But in Proverbs, it tells you how people can use sex and debase themselves into hell. And how people can think they're having hot sex, and really the Lord looks at it as death. And like I said earlier, it's about heaven's point of view, not yours, not grinders, not your fellow people you're sleeping with, because all of y'all just reinforces everybody's negative agenda and, and get a different perspective. But he couldn't do it. 43 text messages in 30 minutes. If y'all would like to read those text messages, they are at sexdrugsandjesus.com, in the blog section. And it's clear, just said, sex messages revealed. I put them all there. They make a great girls' night. Get your wine, your ice cream, girl, and your fans to clack and throw shade and put that shit on a big screen and read it, bitch. And yes, it pairs well with my breakup song playlist that I put on there too. I'm actually in the process of working on it in a spiritual ascension playlist too. And it's gonna be some people on there. I'm gonna be serving you up Ariana Grande, some Blair St. Clair, and and all the bitches. Yes, girl, yes. Yeah, and he couldn't have repeated. I said, since he drove a bitch fucking 30 minutes while he was COVID positive, you know, and symptomatically COVID positive to go have sex with a dude for an hour and drove back. I had him drive to my house, which was roughly, a little bit shorter distance away, put a single quarter on the chair that sits on my front porch, and then drive back home and not tell me since he just, had time to waste. you know, he, like any narcissist, did it because he began to understand then, but that I was really upset with him and I was really going to leave him. Narcissists don't like it when you leave. They'll say anything to get you back. This time, no. So basically, and again, I'm letting you know deep, deep treachery that somebody who I was once in love with was talking marriage, and everything. Our families were connected. I had plans to spend the rest of my life with him. And I didn't care if he wanted to sleep with other people or have boyfriends on the side. We were working on having an open relationship, but he would not put me first. He would not initiate sex with me first. And so I put that shit on hold, because he was beginning to replace the dynamics in our relationship with his extracurriculars. And that wasn't the point. It was supposed to be about communication and freedom, not using it with that intention is everything. And And again, I'm not saying this because I'm bitter. I just am illustrating just how devious a person can be and how peaceful a person can become about it. People have done more, people have done less, but we got to be transparent so we can help each other come up. And I see too many of my fellow females. Today I'm channeling a lot of my divine feminine. Okay. I see too many of my fellow females hurting themselves long after that dude is gone on. Okay. Over something that he did. Um, So basically, yeah, so I never got no kinky sex messages like that sent from him to me. He never did that to me. He never initiated sex with me. I didn't get any of that attention. I was the one doing everything, and I was fine doing it. It was my pleasure. But that's the way it went. He made his choices, and he must live with his consequences. Or so basically though, the ex set this dude up to give him COVID intentionally. It is not above a narcissist to intentionally give somebody a disease that they know will kill them. They don't care. A narcissist doesn't have a conscience. I need y'all to understand that. Some of you who are with narcissists, you're just trying to stay with them, bitch. It's not gonna work. Just deal with that and start your exit strategy. You cannot change them, people. If they're a narcissist, they're probably a sex addict because those two things usually run in tandem. If you don't think he's sleeping with somebody besides you, girl, I need you to wake up because he probably is. And because they have such a desire, a cavernous, never-ending desire for validation that they just gotta do it, and eventually they get tired of the person that they're with, and they begin to want more variety. He demonstrated the textbook characteristics of a narcissist throughout our whole relationship. I just didn't know what it was. I do now, and I'm trying to enlighten y'all. But for all this, forgive and let go, and let God, hallelujah. But he went up there to intentionally give this dude a killing disease. Now imagine it from this dude's perspective, and I didn't think about this, until fairly, until the day when I was getting ready to record this episode. This dude, the person he went to go sleep with, was lonely, clearly desperate enough to either sleep with a dude who was in a relationship or the ex didn't tell him, who knows? But that's that sexual energy between them, for them to be texting that hot and heavy, that was pretty fucking intense. Like I said, I didn't know the ex was capable of such passion. And there was such text, such like foreplay passion. And you're like, that boy though was thinking he's about to have him like the night of his life, you know, since he's about to get laid and shit. I mean, whatever the hell they did for the hour, I'm sure it was hot and heavy. It was, if those texts were any indication. All right. But but the point is, it's not worth dying over. In the text, the ex told the dude he hadn't been feeling well, but the ex didn't divulge that he was currently COVID positive with symptoms. The dude he went to go sleep with didn't press the issue either. So the hoe, just call him the hoe, let his loneliness and desperate need for a physical connection blind him to that nugget dropped in the text. The right response would have been, "You haven't been feeling well. What did you have?" you know, I think the ex may have said, he's feeling better now, but that's vague as hell. And narcissists like vagueness. They like truth mixed with lies. They don't want to be hot or cold. They don't want one or two. They don't want in or out. They want to be 1.5. They want to be lukewarm. They want to be gray, never black or white. But the Lord said, if you're not going to be hot, because you're neither hot nor cold, because you're lukewarm, the Lord Jesus said he will spew you out of his mouth. That back and forth shit, that in between shit don't stand before Christ. You're going to be one way or the other, period. And, but the whole, was just lonely. And he's like, wow, this guy's going to come up here and dig my hole out. Well, okay, he may have filled his holes with cum or got his filled with cum. Who the fuck knows the way it went? But he also, besides dropping a load in him, also dropped COVID off at his door too. Okay, the most basic bitch of basic bitches would not want to contract COVID over getting laid. Okay, you would think. Okay, so basically, the ex set this dude up and seduced him through sex to give him a killing disease and didn't tell him, and then told me he didn't give a fuck about the dude at all. I'm like, "Ooh, all right." So this is what happens when you get devil energy mixed up into sexual energy and you don't know what's there. People can use sex to seduce you and get close to you and flirt with you and tell you all the kinky things that are in those sex that you can go to my website and read, and never even respect you, like you, or care if you live, breathe, or die. But they will go get naked with you, bang the shit out of you, make it all hot and heavy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And bitch, you might be dead in 2 weeks. It's not worth it. We need to wake up. Okay. And then I was the one saying, what about that dude's parents? If you got elderly parents, what about his other grinder hoes? Because now the whole COVID wave started because the ex wanted to go and play games with people. That dude had parents, friends, loved ones. All them people could have contracted COVID over the ex's actions alone. Again, this shit is mimicked all over the world. Many epicenters have started because somebody wanted to go out and bone one night when they were COVID positive and knew it. Or they wanted to go to some function when they were COVID positive and knew it. The people, people are something. That's really the best way you can sum that up. And now then the hoe, I was boning other people from off a grinder, giving them COVID, and so the beat goes on. And I'm the only voice in the room going, "This is, like, super fucked up." Like, beyond me being cheated on, god damn, this ain't right. But with all this, I forgave him. And if he would have told me the whole truth about everything he had done with everyone, I would have stayed with him. But because he lied, I left him. That it would have been silly of me to stay because I should have left him anyway. But the way that I was then trying to be all empathetic and shit, baby, your empathy, if you let it rule you, you gotta learn how to rule even your soft, sweet, empathetic heart. You gotta rule every aspect of your life. Nothing can rule you. Not your generosity, not your empathy, not your kind, caring nature. None of it. You must command all parts of you. You just will if you just gonna open yourself up to all kinds of demons and just tragic evil if you're too damn nice. And and so I was the only one saying that. And yet again, I was the unpopular voice in the room, being community minded. It's what I'm thankful for this new level that I'm at is I no longer circumnavigate in circles at low vibrational energy like the X and his hoes run in. I just had to get away from all that. I mean, I was constantly the only one saying this isn't right, not good for the community, not good for us. And they were the ones saying they don't give a damn. They want to bust this nut tonight, and that's all they're thinking about. Or they want to go lay up overnight or spend weekends with people running. I'm like, okay, everyone has their value systems. I have mine, and ours are no longer aligned because I fear judgment to come, and karma is real. I don't wanna be around y'all when the heavy hand of God falls upon y'all because it's not gonna be pretty. Y'all have sown death, chaos, and destruction. You will reap death, chaos, and destruction. So, I mean, this is pretty simple to understand. What else can I say about this? He turned his phone off when he was with him for 4.5 years in that relationship. I couldn't get the ex to turn his phone off. He paid that thing more attention than he did me. And up to some nights, I would tell him to just go back to his own house if he was just gonna be on his phone the whole night. The boy was glued to his phone. But when he went up there, he turned the phone off because his text messages turned a different color. All that's documented on the blog. And I was like, okay, he can turn his phone off. See, narcissists be listening to the things you ask them to do. They continue to do them because they know it bothers you. They get an energetic feed off of the negativity that stirs up. If they can make you angry, they can control you. And when they get that intense reaction from you, it feeds that narcissistic desire. It gives them a sense of validation. He knew how to find that power button. He just chose not to do it for 4.5 years, but he paid the side hoe more respect than he paid me, in 4.5 years. And the Lord look upon him and judge him greatly for that disrespect. That is what you do with it. You take that anger to God and you give it to him and you leave it there and you move on. I mean, I don't know. How would you describe such things? This is certainly a nasty mixture of insanity and selfishness. The insane part is not that I'm sure that any of them bothered to wear condoms, but he tried to say they did. Doesn't make sense to me. Why would you bother to put condoms on and protect the dick from some disease that probably a pill could fix in a few days when you risk contracting an airborne disease that could kill you in 2 weeks? We have that. We lost a couple of people. I know a few people who died from COVID. It didn't take long. That shit ravaged them in about 14 days, and they was gone, bitch. And so that shit's fucking real. But what's the point of wearing condoms if you're gonna be having sex during COVID indiscriminately? What's the point? You might as well just go for broke. 'Cause ain't nothing you gonna get in your dick or squirted up your ass or down your throat. It's gonna kill you in 2 damn weeks. It's just not. If you get HIV, any hepatitis strand, it takes months before that shit will germinate to get to a high enough viral load that tests can detect it. Syphilis can fucking kill you too pretty quick, but it's not gonna be in no damn 2 weeks. Shit like that don't come around very often. Well, I don't know if they didn't believe in the death of it, but I'm like, people die. The people have died. The ex knew that I knew people had died. Okay. It's like people just put themselves in a state of disillusionment and denial in order to justify the shit that they want to go do. There's no sense in putting a condom on if you don't care about the airborne disease that's dropping people dead left and right. That's just the dumbest fucking shit ever. So, but I guess they put the condoms on if they did. I doubt it. But if they actually did to convince themselves they were being responsible, it's why you have to examine people. You don't ever let yourself get close to somebody who's capable of self-delusionment like that. They're not gonna grow. They're not gonna change, at least not when they're with you, because they feel like they already got you. Mm-mm. They don't think they need to. Who knows how many knocks upside the head people like that, him and all the people he slept with during these dangerous times, who knows what the hell they're gonna have to go through before they actually start to get some fucking sense, but they got very hard fucking heads. And so he cheated. This was like a Tuesday. Then 3 days later, the fool tried to do it again. Giving one person COVID during the week wasn't enough. He at least and this was all I could find on the text. I do not believe that this was it. Because again, a person who doesn't have boundaries does not have boundaries. He probably had people over to his house while he was COVID positive as well, because there would not have been a text thread that I would have found, because I found this on Christmas morning, the evidence of all of this, through like the text and everything. But there wouldn't have been a text thread if he went onto an app to get somebody to invite him to his house. Okay, so he probably had people in his house as well as going to people outside of his house. Because people who don't have boundaries just don't have boundaries. They just will do anything and anyone. They just don't care. And as I've stated in previous episodes, the foolish thing is when a person don't have boundaries, they also remove their protection. Boundaries keep you from running wild, but they also protect you from outside dangers. No boundaries, yeah, you've done all you want to do, but you've also let enemies get close to you too. So, but you got to take it where you do it. You don't want boundaries, your ass gonna get devoured. But hey, you had a lot of sex, right? That's what it all boils down to, right? Now that is me at my most sarcastic. I don't do sarcastic, but it's befitting. And, I never could figure out why his house always felt like death. Whenever I would go over there, the very house that I helped him get inspired him to get. Any good woman should inspire, a man to be more than what he thought he could be. I did a good job. A good fucking job as a significant other, goddamn it. Even though he never gave me credit for it, I don't need him to, because girl, I know. And God knows too, goddamn it. And so, but when I was over at his house, it always felt like death would be in there. Why? Because he was running hoes in and out of his house, plus going over to other people's houses, mixing energies and shit like that. Low vibrational people, such as what I've described, are his people. A person who hurt people is not going to be granted access to high vibrational people. High vibrational people is not going to put up with it in the first place. So devils gather with devils, and like I said, they support each other in their doing, so people don't change because nobody around there is saying the unpopular thing. I never had full peace in his house. The shit just never felt right. And I ignored that intuition. But mixing all that devil energy fucked up the atmosphere in his home. It's like this, like how AIDS spread and STDs spread through sex, you have spiritual STDs too. Low self-esteem, internal wounds, low morale, depression, internal darkness and shit. Spiritual sickness is just as worse, if not as worse as physical sickness, but it's all spread through sex. Okay, especially people who are doing sex and they don't know the power of what they're playing with. I'm going to do a very sophisticated and well drawn out blog. I'm getting my spiritual leaders together, some of the people who have taught and guided me together. Now we're going to lay y'all out, actually teach you what the fuck sex is, what climax is, what attraction to people really is. Because your parents didn't teach you, and nobody really taught you, or you really learned from either a repetition of your bad experiences and choices, and or TV and social media, or other people who didn't know no better than you. We're going to give you this shit from a higher level and ascended point of view, so we can help some of y'all avoid some of the danger that is in front of you, though you don't know it. There's no reason for any of us to get hurt and die, and to have punishment be upon us. We can avoid it if we will learn, listen, and grow. And but the lesson here, if you walk into a place, I don't care if it's your friend's house, a supposed significant other, supposed friend, a bar, wherever you work or whatever, and the shit don't feel right, Let us stop ignoring our intuition. If you not like Madonna said, pain is a warning that something's wrong. If some shit don't feel right, bitch, that's cause it ain't right. Okay? And it don't matter how it looks. No matter how it looks. Evangelist Nelson always used to say, referring to people you don't know what's living inside those pretty bodies. Okay, you don't know that. It could they have good fucked up mental health issues in those pretty bodies, a fucked up soul. They could be devoid of a conscience. They could have physical diseases. You just because a person looks good and they turn you on, don't mean you gotta work with people before you just run off with them or let them into your home, your sacred space, and into your body, your sacred body. But this is how woman's intuition works. Everything is spirit and energy. Like I said, I discovered the ex's indiscretions on Christmas morning. It was about 1, 2 a.m. and I was getting ready to go to sleep. And it's like it hit me like a warm wave just over my left shoulder. Sometimes the Holy Ghost moves, in that way. Just like a gentle breeze. And it was just like a sense of knowing, not paranoia, not anxiety. It was just like a sense of knowing. Okay. And I said, something don't feel right. Something don't feel right. Mm-mm. Let me look at this motherfucker's phone. And that's how I begin to find, oh, what's this? Way back in October, buying weed from some dude. Wait a minute. You used to get all that through me because I know people and you can go to the store and get it. What is this random number? Oh, because you're sleeping with somebody and getting high. Then who are these other people? Oh, and over to their house. And then all the sex messages, are up on the website, but that's not all I found. What's on the blog that I posted isn't even everything that I found. Still forgive, move on. If a woman's intuition works like this, when you have a soul tie to somebody, as far as I was concerned, I was married to him. In the ether, in the spiritual realm, we were married, because I took that relationship seriously. And so our energy, I know my energy, I knew his energy. Him going out and sleeping with people brought, as we call, strange fire, different energy into our home, into our bed, into our relationship. Sometimes women, it takes us a minute to detect this shit because the narcissist keeps us in a state of fucking disarray all the time and in a constant state of agitation. But when we calm down and let ourselves catch up to ourselves, we can detect the presence of a foreign presence that should not be there. Because sex is never just physical. So when these dudes go out and sleep with these people in their basic little boy heads, they want to call it just physical and just transactional. It was just something to do. They took that person's energy back with them and they brought it into our bed, into our home. And by having sex with them, it rubbed off on us too. And eventually I was like, wait a minute. See, I had been traveling. That was December. I was gone all of October. I came back and I think I went to New York in November. But when I stopped traveling and I slowed down, I was like, wait a minute, something don't feel right. There's some other presence here in my home that shouldn't be here. In our home that should not be here. Like Deborah Cox said, how did you get here? Nobody's supposed to be here. I'm taking it from a different angle. So, so these people go out and cheat. Ladies, when it don't feel right, I don't care. I looked him in his eyes and said, where have you been? What have you been doing? He lied and said nowhere. He tried to pretend like he'd just been the quiet, cute little nerd. Just sitting home playing video games with his friends back in Snellville, Georgia, laughing at me because he knew the damn truth. I'm like, child, what he had been done was playing the game. What he had been doing was playing the game of trying to sleep with every black man in between Baton Rouge and Snellville is what he had been trying to do. And I thought about it and I was like, this dude brings no value to me. I can go get sex from any dude. Like a working dick is a common denominator amongst XY chromosomatic motherfuckers. Every dude has a dick. And if you can figure out some kind of way to make it work, a pill or surgery or something, that's just the basic standard thing. That is nothing to hold on to a relationship for. And if not that, you got plenty of dildos, prostate massagers. I mean, dick is easily replaced in this day and time. You don't have to have none of the stress that comes along with dealing with people like this. I had to step away in order to assess my value because I was not feeling valued in that relationship, not respected, not complimented, not held in high regard, none of those things. I was freer than what I realized. Once I was single, I was like, fuck, I can travel the world. I don't have to go back to Baton Rouge. I was only going back there to spend time with him, taking him with me often, more often than not. And I was like, damn, I have power. I had power I didn't know I had. And but through his actions, I was released from that and I was able to rise to the status that I really should have been at the whole time. I was no longer held down by his devil energy. Again, this is energy. What he's done is an energetic expression because everything starts as a thought, it becomes an action, and then it turns into a physical manifestation. But everything is energy. Doesn't matter who did it. It matters the spirit in which it was done. It's also caused me to realize how easily replaceable he was because the only thing that he brought to the table that I wasn't getting from anywhere else was the sex. But literally, I did every fucking thing else. I was the creative one that did every fucking thing else. And so I was like, okay, this was really more of a phantom thing that I was trying to hold on to. Once I actually put pen to paper and I was like, wait a minute, he don't actually do shit. You don't have to do anything. And I wasn't complaining about it. But if it's going to be all of this treachery and secret fuckery, then it's time to sort some things out. See, when it comes to sex and really in relationships, it is the unique connection between people. I speak about this in a different episode, but it's comparing is dumb. If I have sex with boy A, it's clearly going to be different than boy B and boy C and boy D. I'm not going to compare boy A, B, C, and D. It's not the same. Our energies are not the same. So it's not about if boy A, B, C, or D were better than the rest. We had a unique connection. That is all on its own merits. It's never going to be the same. It's not supposed to be. What makes sex special is the uniqueness of the bond between the people. Okay, that's what makes it strong. But when people want to have meaningless sex, they miss this whole point and they're constantly searching for more of it when the only thing that really makes it special is that connection you have with the person that you're doing it with. Other than that, it's just physical friction. It's just, I mean, to you, it's just in your mind, you're thinking it's just physical friction. You're unaware of the actual soul tie and the connection that's happening. But that's what makes it unique, and this is why I don't compare. So when I get my new man, my actual king, I'm not gonna be sitting there thinking, "How does he compare?" It's not comparing. We have a unique connection, and it is what it is, and it doesn't matter what's going on in the universe. We are here, nothing else matters. Doesn't matter what was, all that matters is what is, and that's the way it's gonna go. What I'm super glad the fuck about is that when the ex's birthday rolls around this year, okay, in November, bitch, I'm not gonna be spending thousands of dollars on him, like I used to. I would do that, didn't matter. It didn't have to be a milestone birthday. I just loved him that fucking much, and I wanted to show him that in a tangible way. It was nothing for me to buy him expensive shit. Not about money. I'm not attached to money. I have the ability to do things that others don't, and I'm thankful for that, especially after having been homeless and living on the street and sleeping in the backs of cars and having nothing to my name. I do not I don't I'm very thankful for it, and I don't mind sharing what I have, But fuck it, I'm glad that I'm not doing that because I'm free now. When his birthday comes around, I'm gonna be fucking happy that I'm not with him. When this next Christmas rolls around, I already know. Since I processed this trauma, it's not some day I'm dreading, the day I found the sex messages from the day that changed my life. It's not like that. It's gonna be the day that I got set free. The day that the Lord caused me to see the ex for what he really was and not what I wanted to see. I already knew these things about him, but I have to tell y'all this. Stop seeing, start to evaluate people and situations for what they are and not for what you want them to be. See people for what they are and not what you want them to be. Or as the saying goes, when someone shows you who they are, and I can't remember who the fuck says it, but when someone shows you who they are, believe them. When I met him, He was an indiscriminate sex person. When I left him, he still was. After 4.5 years, no change. And so if I would just believe what I saw in the first place, I could have avoided all of this. I'm glad it happened. I actually wouldn't change a thing because all of his actions and all of this pain helped to lead me to my ascension. I'm so strong now. I'm so fucking happy now. I'm so motivated. I'm so focused. I'm way better now as a human and as an individual than I was this same time last year. I don't thank him for it. I say fuck him. Okay. And let him have his karma in heavy doses. Okay. In heavy fucking doses, bitch. What did that angel say in the book of Revelation? But what were he, I think he was talking about the whore of Babylon, drinking from the cup of the wine cup of the wrath of God. And he said, pour until her double. Okay. Okay, pour into the ex's ass double from the dregs of the cup of the wine wrath of God, and even the wine, the bitter dregs at the bottom, bitch. Like I said, pray to God about that person because God gonna do what's right. There's nothing you can say before God and that He gonna go do that's not just. Take that anger and pour it before the Lord and leave it there, bitch. And so I don't think about him anymore. But when I used to, that's what I would do. I would just go pray about it. I would just pray about it. When my birthday rolls around, I'm gonna be happy that I'm gonna get up in the morning and stretch, bitch. Be like, I'm gonna look over to my left, and his ass is not gonna be laying next to me, and I'm gonna realize that I'm a blessed individual. How did Thanos say it? Oh, look, bitch, watch the sunrise over a grateful universe. Okay. The hell's fucking yeah. So no, I don't get into for me, I'm thankful I don't have a trauma anniversary. Nothing against those of you who do, but I really pray that you can come to a point where you don't look at a certain day of the week, of the month, of the year that it triggers you in a negative way. I hope that the day comes where you can look at a day that something happened on because we're not supposed to forget, but you can look at it from an attitude of gratefulness, that it's not over, that you're not going to have that pain anymore, that that person can't hurt you again, and look at it as a day of victory instead of a day of defeat. That's what I really hope that you can come to do. Turn that defeat into a victory, bitch. Yeah, I was defeated. A bitch was broken down. Okay, but bitch, the Lord built me back up. And it's all about strength now. Clarity, focus, purpose, fulfilling my destiny. Because remember, these people are fractured. Happy, healthy, whole people would not do these things. They're broken. They're hurt. They're miserable. They're really crying out for help in a very weak, low voice, but really they're in pain. Because somebody who was happy would not be doing these things. They would not be having a bunch of indiscriminate sex and trying to call it a good idea. They wouldn't be setting up fake relationships with people and trying to act like they're doing something real. They wouldn't be having a perfectly good They wouldn't be having a perfectly good queen sitting at home, hoping that they're gonna call them to initiate something sexual when they're on Grinder, giving that energy away to somebody who wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire. That's out of order. Once you can get to a point where you no longer take it personally and you just examine it objectively, you've come a long way. That is my prayer for you, my queens. This is the clarity version of this. Chaos is when we're still angry, feeding into that. You are going to get pulled up out of the chaos version of whoever shattered and broke your heart. Okay. But just like they shattered and broke your heart, how did Britney Spears say in her song Shattered Glass? That's a good fucking breakup song too. He shattered your world, God go shatter his world too. Don't you worry about it. Yes, he will. Like she said in that song, if he think he hurt and he ain't seen nothing yet. Okay. But they wanted to go do their sexual things. And the insanity of this all is like I said, I didn't care about what he did with his dick. Everybody that had that thing. I didn't judge him for being super sexual and for being all over town and everything. I don't live that life too. Okay, I've done all that, the hoeing around and stuff, and I don't do it no more. I made space for the fact that, well, if that's where he's at, then we just need to find a way to make it work. But as stated, he didn't want truth and transparency. He wanted to do what he wanted to do. The second couple's therapist that we went to both told him the same that she and I both told him the same thing. That if he felt like he had got into the relationship with me too soon, too fast, too early, since he was 21 when I met him, and I think I was like 35, 36. Not that age should ever matter, because it's timeless. Time is an illusion. If for some reason he felt like he needed to go back and play the field, then just say so and let's end it. Go play the field then. He didn't want to do that. And so then it was like, okay, well then we can work on being open, but you're gonna have to actually initiate sex with me first before you go run to grinder with it. Or if he didn't want to do that either. You ever been with somebody who'd act like they don't want to stay and don't want to go? You know, no, we're not gonna be doing that. Mm-mm. But, that's just, like, sick and sad. Even with all the flexibility that I tried to give him, he just threw it back in my face and turned it around and used it to play a victim. Like they say, trying to be in a relationship with a narcissist is like the whole person, like, if y'all are in a sinking boat, it's like I was trying to take the water out the boat and the ex was still poking holes in it. They self-sabotage and orchestrate their own destruction and then blame other people for it. They act like they can't figure out why it happened. Look in the mirror. You need to go no further. I mean, think about that. Whatever he said he wanted, I tried to find a way to do it because people are going to do what they want to do. I'm not about the business of telling people no. If somebody's stating a desire, to me, the thing to do is to explore that desire, see why it's there, make sure it's not coming from an addictive space or no shadow is poking up. And if somebody's saying they want to have an experience or do something, well, let's find a way to make it happen. But I require transparency and honesty. I'm not gonna be having nothing done behind my back because there's energetic shit that can be brought back to me. There's diseases that can be brought back to me. There's implications that extend beyond whatever the interaction was someone went to go do. That's why I don't do secrets because I need to evaluate this. Okay, as well. I don't necessarily have to be there. If he wanted to go have private sex, I didn't have to be there. If he wanted to invite me, it would have been nice from time to time. I didn't put restrictions on him like that. All of this testifies greatly against his desire to be secretive when I made it so easy not to. Against my nature, I began to revoke the trips that I had planned for him to go with me and stuff like that. I have a very given nature. It was hard on me to be with somebody who I didn't feel like I could have my hand open to. I'm not like that. I'm not attached to this world or to these things. I'd rather turn to a spirit, sprout my wings, and go fly off and be with Jesus than down here fucking with y'all. But but I have to be in this body and serve my purpose. I have not done that yet. And so here I stay. And I don't want to face him no way until I've actually done what I'm supposed to do and have gone through all my life's lessons or wouldn't be good. I got to get my shit straight first and finish my work here on earth. And I'm not attached to this world. It was hard on me to be with somebody who in the spirit, just began to close me off from him because God knew what he had been doing. Even though he didn't tell me, there are no secrets. Not really. The Holy Ghost knows everything. You cannot hide from God. And those of us who are connected to him, God gives people who hurt us space to repent. Then they don't. Then God starts to bring the hammer down on them. And so I took all the trips back, went back, got all the clothes and shit, all the electronics, the gaming computer, the Xbox, all the shit that I had bought for him back, thousands of dollars worth of shit. I'm like I said, I had his ass on a throne. His actions snatched him down from that throne. And for what? Because he wanted to have more sexual experiences. So he couldn't really answer the question, like, what is it that you want that I couldn't, that you did not think you could get from me? You know, women, we do everything for these people, but the life that they have lived have got them consumed with this desire for more. The next person to sleep with, constantly swiping left, right, or whatever the fuck y'all do in them damn sex apps. All of that is training you to never be present in the moment, fully assessing the value of who and what you have in front of you. All the reels you constantly flip back and forth through on social media. what's the average real time? Like 15 seconds on one of those apps, maybe like TikTok or something, not even long. People aren't willing to give that much attention to anything. And so you carry that into your personal life. Don't quote me on that 15-second thing. I'm not sure. But the point is, y'all would rather a really short reel or an extended video because you've got to get on to the next one. You have the attention span of a fucking pea. Okay. And then when you get in a serious relationship, the long drawn out quote unquote aspects of it to you feel like boredom, even though it's not boredom. That's called conscious living and being present in the moment. That's what you call boredom. That's actually just called being fully immersed in the moment without a whole lot of action going on. That's all it is. and and for what? Like he read through my whole memoir. An over 200,000 word memoir. It's a thick ass book, over 300 pages. And the best thing he could come out of it was that he felt like I had had more sex than him because he's very over sexualized. And I'm like, okay, what about the potential death, being homeless, running from the police, in the military? There's so many like overarching life themes in that book that he missed and just zeroed in on the few sex scenes that I never expressed that happened. I mean, few, and most of them were me walking away from sex that I didn't want to be involved in. But his sex addicted mind only drew him to that. And I was like, good Lord. And so I guess he wanted to fucking be single so he can, I don't know, have some new sexual experiences. But test, okay, what he could have done, I don't know. So we can't make sense out of anything other than ourselves. And then if a grown ass man can't look you in the eye and clearly make you understand his desires and why he has those desires, then what you really have on your hands is a boy perpetrating as a grown man. He is no king because the king has dominion over himself and he understands his strength. He knows what he wants and why he wants it, and he can articulate that shit on demand. Shouldn't have been this much of a struggle. Shouldn't have needed a couples therapist just to get out of him what the fuck he wants. Simple shit like that, he could not answer. All of this I forgave and tried to work with him because I understand being faithful and loyal to people and sticking by them. No matter what is my used to be my thing, but I have a much shorter patience with people now, especially with lovers. Not that I've tried to get any, but it's a new rubric, it's a new standard that I have now, and I'm not gonna be doing all of that again. Not that I'm bitter about it, it's because I shouldn't have to. Like, I deserve a man who knows who he is and what he wants. Have you ever asked your lover, "Who are you?" So sometimes we get so fucking caught up doing activities with friends and with lovers, and we don't really know who these people are. We don't really know who these people are. You know I asked him, like, "Who are you?" He was like, "Hmm." He didn't know. Couldn't answer. Somebody who don't know who they are is a dangerous person because they're out there doing things operating off of off of motivations that are not their own. If you don't know who you are, anybody can infuse their value system into yours. I've lived that life before. Like I stated in the previous episode, when I was homeless, I got to being homeless, didn't know who I was. So I clung to everybody else's point of view other than my own. But at least I had some street sense to a degree. The ex didn't have no damn street sense. That boy was always easily manipulated, easily led astray from the country. Like I said, Snellville, Georgia, it's like Anime Bullock coming from Nutbush. He ain't got no damn street sense. When you like that, people out there will clock that shit and fuck you over. I used to protect him when I was with him, but since he wanted to go out, he just was insistent upon going out and having more sex. He felt like he missed out on his 20s. Okay, he kept acting like he wanted to be single, so I made him single. I wasn't gonna be sitting there being his pillar and post, the reliable thing when he was out there running hoes. Mm-mm. I say, "You wanna be single? Snip, snip, snip. Okay, fine. Go have all the sex you never thought you could have and be done with it." I mean, he had already had sex with married men and didn't care. We'd already had orgies, drugs included and sometimes not. I didn't know, and he could not articulate what other experience he wanted to have that I did not provide or he hadn't done before I met him. He had already done the most. This wasn't some new virgin, y'all. That boy had been throwing that dick in mouth and ass from the free throw line. And I'm not judging him for that, although his intentions were never right with it. Like I said, I've been down that road before. But but when you can't first of all admit that what you've done is wrong, that's a problem. And acting like you can never get enough is also a problem. But nevertheless, our significant others are their own individual person. If they're insistent upon going away, let them go and forgive them and move on. And so I was like, okay, but what happens, the lesson that I can teach all from this is what happens is when people don't have a sexual identity, they don't have sexual morals, they don't learn it from their parents or anything like that. Well, you got to get it from somewhere. You're going to get it from Pornhub, Grinder, some sex app, Jacked, whatever the fuck people be watching porn and shit. I don't watch shit no more. And you won't find me on an app ever fucking again. And that creates people's sexual identity. They let themselves get hypnotized by all of these crazy sexual situations they see people in, which has no intimacy in them at all. And they learn or they begin to believe that they have to have what every guy on that they watched in porn have, two bottoms at one time, or this group sex, or whatever the case may be. And they got to do it in this position. And that and somewhere in people's heads, they internalize that if they haven't had all of that, then they've missed out on something in life. And that's just a damn lie. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm like, okay, you want to go do it? Ding, out the door you go to have more sex. And so, Jesus, take the wheel. But I revoked, like I said, all the trips. He was actually supposed to be here with me in Japan. He was originally invited to come on this trip, and not just him, but his friends too. You know, they love everything anime and Japanese, as do I. I thought it was one of the most beautiful fucking things that we shared in common. But I was like, fuck all this talking about manga and anime and all of this and Pokemon. Let's go to fucking Tokyo where the shit comes from and meet some people, meet some people that have to do with this shit. I was about to expose them to some things, but not after all of that bullshit. I was like, boy, bye. You ain't coming over here. These people respect themselves and shit. You have to have some fucking boundaries. You can't be over here with that bullshit. And I doubt he ever told them that because narcissists like to hold cards and secrets and shit. And I got this, that really opened that door, free lodging and shit that I invited several people to come here. I rented this fucking Airbnb that could, but the Lord has me right where he wants me in this personal isolation with no one around me. That's exactly what he wanted. But I had invited all of them. Then look, y'all, when these people hurt you, don't expect an apology. We got to get past waiting for an apology. Some of my girls are like sitting up at night waiting for an apology. Bitch, it's not going to come. You have got to make peace with the fact that you did all you could and he did what he did and now the shit's over. Let him go and forgive him and stop waiting for something that's not going to come because you're giving him control over you. The best I ever got from the ex after all of this that he did was that I think he said that he's sorry that I was hurting. There was no accountability, not that he caused the pain. Girl, you think I'm sitting there waiting for that bitch? No. That's called karma. So he withheld the apology. Okay, God saw that. God not gonna let him get away with that. That I take comfort in. And I made peace with that and I let him go. Girls, you gotta do the same, girl. And you're gonna know when when shit begins to turn in your favor. Cause like I don't have those crying fits that used to hit me out of nowhere. I used to be sitting down totally at peace and then emotion would come up on me. I would like crying and just got all sad and depressed and shit. And then that could last for days and then stop lasting for days and the shit just don't happen anymore. And you're going to know when things begin to turn in your favor because things like that are going to happen and you're not going to be sad. Your dreams are going to improve and you're gonna just have like that one moment where you have peace, whereas you used to be in agony from the moment you wake up to the time you went to sleep. And you're gonna have that one moment of peace. When that happens, grab that feeling and hold on to it. Grab that feeling and hold on to it because you're that feeling is gonna lead you out of that darkness into the marvelous light. Okay. Like the Bible says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. As sure as you are breathing, that sun is gonna shine again. As sure as you are breathing, even though you don't feel it right now. And all you feel is just that deep chasm. It feels like lava fucking pouring out of your fucking heart. Okay, that shit ain't gonna last always. It's not gonna last always. People used to tell me this too when I first left him, and I was like, fuck y'all. Fuck y'all. I just want this to stop right now. I'm not trying to hear all that. Oh, damn. I just fucking A. But it did. Now, it didn't just happen. I mean, I did the work, the prayer, the meditation. Like I said, I traveled here and there, doing ayahuasca. I was on YouTube. If you can't travel to go do ayahuasca, bitch, you get on YouTube. Find something, to help you. And but eventually that shit begins to turn, and then your dreams will start to improve, and things like that. That is what I knew that I was coming out of it. I've always been a gifted dreamer since I was a kid, and 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 my dreams started to get better. I don't remember what they were. I don't know if I even had any. I was so like numb. I just like I just went from feeling nothing to having those crying bouts and fits, like I was saying, to to like dream again. I don't remember if I dreamed after I left him. I don't know. I was in chaos. I was in total fucking chaos. And I began to have dreams, and my dreams always showed me dancing and, and just singing and being on stage and shit. And this was the Lord telling me I had made the right choice, and to keep going in this direction and to not go digging him up and anything like that. One thing about a narcissist is they're never going to follow you. They're not going to put forth too much effort, usually. Especially a lazy one, like the one that I had on my hands back in the day in the past, in a life long since dead. Over. I don't even live that life anymore. That Devanin is dead. He's no more. I knew that as long as I had enough strength to not reach out to him, that he was never going to reach out to me because he had too much pride. And I used that fact to allow space to come in between us, and I was able to get my healing because I knew he was never going to do it. Had he done it and apologized and got right, it would have been hard for me not to go back to him. But he did what I knew he was going to do and be lazy and not try. See, a real king would have not have done those things, and a real king would not have let his woman go. He would not have let a good queen walk away from a real king and get up off his ass and chase that girl down. Okay, a little boy ain't gonna do that. Therein, my darling, lies the difference. What the fuck was I? What was I gonna say? Yeah, my dreams fucking started to change, bitch. And I would see myself on stage, bitch. And looking, and I talked about this one dream. I'm not gonna tell you all the dreams that I've had. I'm just gonna suffice it to say, like in Harry Potter, like when Harry Potter and Voldemort have that soul tie that they got from that curse that Voldemort put on Harry, established a connection. Okay, I tell y'all, movies are real life. Real life inspires movie. Learn from them. Real life inspires the movies. Learn from them. Harry could see the shit Voldemort was thinking, but Voldemort didn't know. For some time at least. I believe that connection was eventually broken or whatever the fuck happened. So the X started showing up in my dreams. This is how I knew I was beginning to heal because I was getting to process shit out. I didn't ask the Lord for this. It just started showing up. I was like, okay, God, you know better than me. I don't give a damn where he's at or who he's with or what he's doing. Why are you showing me these things? And I talked about this dream before where I was on stage. I was singing like a Taylor Swift song. I was dressed up, bitch, snatched for the gods. And I was in this whole room of people who had come to see me put on this show. And I think about and there was the ex in the back of the damn room with some dude in tow, probably some new boyfriend he had went to go get or whatever, it real or some new sex buddy or whatever that he had gotten manifesting in my dream. Because narcissists are always gonna be quick to get a boyfriend or a girlfriend and move on and quick to go find someone to hop around in bed with. They all do the same thing. Just rinse, wash, repeat. They're so typical and so predictable. Yeah, but if you break up with somebody and you have a significant other within the same year, bitch, you desperate and you lying. And you just set up another false relationship and it's going to reap more bad karma upon you because you weren't ready. I used to date so many people back in the day. On the first damn date, they want to talk about the ex. Now they're sitting with me at a restaurant. We talk about anything in the multiverse, anything at all. This is why I hold people accountable for their choices, because they make choices and their choices tell me who they are. They didn't want to talk about me. They didn't want to talk about them. They didn't want to talk about the flower arrangement. They didn't want to talk about the movie or the club we were going to. They wanted to talk about the ex. You have far too many people who are willing to go out on dates with new people, sleep with the new people, set up relationships with new people, and put the fake boyfriend or girlfriend title upon them. And their mind and energy and heart and soul has not departed from the person that they were with. These things, children, are not to be so. It's fake as hell, and you're going to sow very terrible karma onto you for playing with these new people's time like that because you're lonely and you have a void and you want to fill it, and anyone will do. You're being very, very dangerous with that. And then what you're gonna do when you make those new people angry because you deceive them? The most insecure of them will have the nerve to get mad at the ex. Bitch, the ex will move on with their life. They're not worrying about you. Y'all want these little boys? Who have them? Girl, we don't care. We're queens. The little boys we left are not even kings. Have him. Girl, whatever. Nobody worrying about that. But in this dream, he's there the ex is in the back of the damn room of people who come to see me with this person in tow. His body language is turned completely away from this boy, this new boyfriend of his or whatever. And both of them are like looking at me. I just as I was walking prancing up onto the stage a bit, strutting as I was, I just kind of glanced over my shoulder with minimal effort. Did not acknowledge them, but was aware of them and just continued on with my show. And I felt like Tina Turner did at the end of What's Love Got to Do with It when I tried to come in there and intimidate her, trying to make her think that she couldn't be successful without him. Ladies, these men try to make us these little boys, excuse me for daring to disgrace the honorable term of men with these little boys that I'm talking about here. They put us in a state of mind that we think that we can't be strong without them. Like we don't know who we are without them. Yeah, you do. You can work on that, honey. And if you need help with that, bitch, reach out to me because I'm gonna help you come up. Yes, you can. But Ike Turner came in there trying to, with his gun, flashing it around, intimidation tactics, trying to make Tina feel like she wasn't gonna be nothing. She told him, "You see that room of people out there? They come to see me, not you, bitch. They come to see me." Y'all who seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. I know you doing that right along with me right now, bitch. They come to see me. That's how I felt in this dream. This whole room of people here, they come to see me, not you. You and your new boyfriend, whoever this quote unquote lover is, are lurking around in the back of the room, in the very against the fucking wall, bitch. Attention on me. The ex's attention should have been on his new boyfriend or his new lover, whatever, not on me. But like I said, I went on plenty of dates with people back in the day who had not really departed from those people. Yet they're out there making false moves. Mm-mm. I don't understand. When I was with him, he didn't want me. He wanted to go out and explore. I left, made all his whorish little dreams come true. So why are you in my dreams? Why is the Lord showing me you in my dreams with your attention on me when you already got a dude standing next to you? Phew, what, isn't that what you wanted? How many girls have you had that they fucked up? We left them. They trying to come back. Wait, we all know. We've already been through this before. No, 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 no. It's not gonna be that way. And some of them have money they haven't paid us back and shit, and they just gonna show back up. I told y'all before these planets are in retrograde. one of those other dudes who had the nerve to try to come back into my life owes me fucking money less than the ex does. And I'm not worrying about getting it from any of them. I don't care. There's more important things than money. This peace is more important than any fucking thing. Like the Bible says, seek peace and pursue it. I'm like, this fool tried to show back up like as a face of a friend. Wait, last time I saw you, you took money from me and you trying to like just show back up. B- First thing should have been damn Cash App or Venmo. Then maybe there could have been a fucking conversation. But a little boy will do what? Try to skirt responsibility, act like shit didn't happen. There's that narcissistic amnesia. And then be like, "What to do? How are you?" No, forgiveness always, forgetting never. I just didn't respond. For what for? I'm not giving him energy. No energy, no time, no nothing. Take the money and be gone. And let your money perish with you. Anybody worrying about that? I have the greater thing, which is peace, honor, a good name. I love myself. That's something money can buy. And that's not something sex can give you, and nor can a relationship. And so, but the beautiful thing about, this dream is that I had no regard for no fucking thing about him or his current doings. And you got to get to that point, my queens, and you will. Okay. My energy was on me, on that stage with that microphone in my hand, singing my fucking song and going forth in my power. And I did not let nobody distract me. I stayed focused on what I was doing, and I was able to help the people who had come to see me. They come to see me, me. Okay. And I did what the fuck I was sent there to do. And I did it fucking well. Yeah, and then this other dream that I had that I already talked about. Other than that, I will not divulge the other dreams that I've had because some things just don't need to be stated. And in this other dream, I was on stage too and just dancing and putting on a show, just backflips and cartwheels and splits, bits and death drops and all that fucking shit and outfit changes and wardrobe changes. Girl, there wasn't no X in this dream. In this dream here, my king was there, my true king, my future fucking husband. I couldn't see his face. His face was veiled from me though, but his energy, I'll never fucking forget. It was clear. His energy was still settled, unlike anything I've ever felt in a man before. His energy wasn't all over the place. He was focused. He was like John Wick, bitch, a man of focus. And he was out of all the activity going on in this huge ass fucking stadium I was performing in, he was sitting there in the close up front row seat. He was just focused on me. He didn't have those roaming eyes like the ex always had. Always his attention was elsewhere. If you ever meet somebody who has roaming eyes, who can keep their eyes off every piece of ass that walks through the room, they gonna cheat. If they can control their eyes, then I can control anything else. Leave them the fuck alone. I learned that shit in California when I was out there, and I did not listen to the advice. Now, the Bible says a warning comes before a fall. I had been warned about people with roaming eyes, and I tried to work with him, and that shit just turned against me. Don't do it. That person can't respect you by paying attention to you when y'all are out in public. Leave that hoe alone. Trick no good. Trick no good. Trick no good. But not this man, not my king, not in this dream. That man had come there specifically to see me. And his eyes were not roaming. His eyes was fixed on me. And his attention was singularly focused on me. And his energy was just reassuring and calm and settled and peaceful and stable. That is my king. And that's who I'm preparing myself for. And I thank the Lord for showing me that a better man has been prepared for me. Honey, girls, queens, I'm going to tell you, that's not just for me. You could always do better. The trick of the devil is to make you think that whatever tragic situation you have is the best that you can have. No, it's not. Them little boys have allowed themselves to be seduced that way, to think that low level, low vibrational sex and cheap ass fake relationships where they just throw the boyfriend title on whoever will do real quick to try to recreate what they've had from the past, is the best that they can have. No, it's not. You can always do better. As we used to say in the game, bitch, if you're going to trade, trade up. If you're going to trade, trade up. We don't trade down. If you're going to swap some shit out, you always want to do better. You don't switch out for worse. But what they don't know is the magic that a true queen can bring is through the spirit of God through us. So they can't just go and find some person to replace that magic, because that magic is unique to us and it comes through the power of Christ. So, like I said, it's not about the sex you have, it's about the connection with that person. Somebody who's magical and strong, positively magical and strong and powerful can whip up healing in a room just by walking in the room. You have to have the power of Christ in order to be able to pull something like that off. So it's not about what you're doing, it's about the spirit with which you're doing it. And if the people around you embody true life, you know, it can't be mimicked, it can't be repeated. It's all original. We queens are original. I'm very fucking original, and nobody can replace or repeat me. And there's only one Devanin, only ever gonna be one motherfucking Devanin, period. There will never be a Devanin Jr. even, because I'm the only fucking one. And that's not a selfish thing, it's just a statement of fact. My king in my dream understands this. My king in my dream knows this. And even though I have not met him yet, I think he knows who I am. You know, I think he knows. Clearly, he's watching me. And hey, baby, how you doing? I'm gonna meet you one day. I'm gonna talk about my qualifications later on in the show for you. I got something ready for you, baby. And but yeah, they're only one of us. There would never be another. Period. And my king and my dream understands that. That's why he's sitting there with his attention on me, understanding that I'll stand by his side as long as he treat me right. Other than that, I got to go. But I don't think I'm going to have that problem with this king, because that man was a man of focus and good energy that's very settled and peaceful. And I haven't not had that in any male I've ever met before, to include my own dad. Just peace. This man was at peace within himself. And thank you all so much for taking time to listen to the Sex, Drugs, and Jesus podcast. It really means everything to me. Look, if you love the show, you can find more information and resources at sexdrugsandjesus.com or wherever you listen to your podcast. Feel free to reach out to me directly at Devanin, sexdrugsandjesus.com, and on Twitter and Facebook as well. My name is Devanin, and it's been wonderful being your host today. And just remember that everything is going to be all right.